Good afternoon. At this time, the Edgefield County Planning Commission work session here at Sweetwater Baptist Church, February 11/20/120, 5 p.m. We're going to call our meeting to order, and we'll have our open remarks and invocation given by Dr. Paul Noah.
Well, good evening and welcome tonight to Sweetwater. We are delighted that you're here. Just one little housekeeping matter at this time at 6 o'clock. I'll be saying more. But should you need the restroom facilities, they're to my right in this back corner. There's a men and a ladies' restroom there. And so, again, we appreciate your presence here this evening. And thank you so much for our Planning Commission. And let's bow together for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we recognize this evening that this is the day that you have made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Now, Father, tonight we've come to discuss the business of Edgefield County, and I pray your blessings upon this commission, and that, God, you would give them wisdom and understanding. Pray for all the participants tonight, and thank you for these who have come to observe. Father, we just ask that your Spirit might invade this room, and that, Lord, you would have your sweet will and way. We pray for peace. We pray for calmness and understanding. Father, tonight I pray that you would deliver us from this old COVID-19. God, we pray that you would remove this plague from our nation and our world. Thank you for the privilege of living in this wonderful place that we call Edgefield County and South Carolina in the United States of America. And we ask this prayer in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Noah. Appreciate that. We have no guest speakers, no old business. New business is subdivision application for Annalie Cole Potica ID 1630001091000 Woodlawn Lake Road by JSMG Development, LLC. Gary Tippin, the development with JSMG Development is here to join us. He's here. Yes, thank you, sir. Doing this work session. So this time we will see further. We're going to update on the progress you made on this.
So the latest update on the subdivision, we came to the commission previously, and there was some recommendations given. Since then, we've changed and created 1 acre lots that back up to the airport side, and also in line with the Aeronautics Commission.
The proposed lot within that Zone C is on that. This is the older one I think was referring to, and you have.
That's correct. Over in Zone C that backs up to Rachel Avenue.
Over a large lot, and you have taken care of that on.
That's correct. I have got that taken care of the 1 acre lots.
Okay. Any comments? Any comments in the commission? Okay. I think that was all that we needed from you on that. No one have no comments since you have met what we told you.
Sir?
I said, since you have made what they requested from the FC, from the Federal Commission.
Correct.
It has got that, and I looked at the drawing here.
Correct.
And it seemed like you complied with what we have online here.
Yes, sir.
So I think that's all we have for you, David. Right. You have a question? Okay, go.
Hey there. Question I've got is regarding the common spaces that are on here. What are those typically used for? Are they just green areas, or are they areas for common maintenance of, I know these are used for planes and things like that. So there's about 1, 2, and then the common area that's against the pond, and then the common area that kind of wraps around. What is the typical use of that? Is it just blank land that's taken care of by the community, or what is that?
That's correct. It'll be taken care of by the community. We're going to make plans to level out some of the areas there if they want to put play sets or use that for some sort of venue for the community. If you look at the top side of the in the plans here, the access that goes around the pond, the subdivision, all homeowners in there will have access to the pond, but it will be restricted through a gated access.
I believe this is what I read, but everything's done by septic. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That's all my questions, Mr. Burke.
Any more questions from any other commission? If not, we'll
Thank you.
take this up in our regular meeting. Okay, thank you. We now will go into land management ordinance, chapter review for planning commission discussion at our work session on January 27, 2021. Chapter will be reviewed by the planning commission in 3 separate groups. We got the first group with chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. John Ford, the vice president of Robertson Company and lead consultant on the LMO, here to join the planning commission during this work session. So, Mr. Ford, are you prepared to on the chapter?
This is John Ford with Robert Company. We are going to do a full presentation at the next part of the meeting. So I'm here primarily right now to answer any questions you may have in the work session. What has been proposed is that we will do a very significant review of chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 as part of the first element of reviewing the detail of the proposed ordinance. I might remind you as well that as part of that ordinance that the draft that you have been reviewing is a July draft. We have proposed some additional languages as part of the continued work that we had until October. That we're not provided yet, except we provided to staff. The intent of that is that we know there are more changes that are going to be needed as part of this process. So I just wanted to make sure that as far as the work session, if you've got some questions regarding what the schedule is and how we need to proceed, please feel free to talk to me.
Any commissioners, any questions? Anyone discussion at this point? Schedule.
I guess my question would be during the work session, given the amount of people that are here, are we able to, I know we'll go into the formal meeting at 6, but is there any way to kind of begin that dialogue with the people that are here? No? Okay. Let's wait until 6. Okay. All right. That was the only question I had for that.
No clear on anything. Okay, you can proceed, Mr.
Pardon me, sir.
Oh, you done at this moment now?
Yes, I'm done.
At this time, then, we will adjourn this meeting. I mean, motion to adjourn to our 6 o'clock regular planning commission meeting. Motion. Second. Motion second. Meeting adjourned to 6 o'clock, our regular meeting. At this time, we're going to call the Edgefield County Planning Commission meeting to order. Sweetwater Baptist Church, February 11, 2021. Time is 1800 hour, which is 6 o'clock. This time we're going to have we call it to order, open remarks and invocation by Dr. Paul Noah. Where are you, sir?
Well, good evening, and we welcome you tonight to the Sweetwater Baptist Church. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to receive an offering. So I'm going to ask Greg Hurt and Joey Smith to come, and we're going to pass the plate because you can't have a Baptist meeting without an offering. I'm only joking. But we are grateful that you're here tonight, and let me just take care of a couple of housekeeping matters. First of all, if this was a church event, we would not allow this because we're all clumped up together. And what I want to ask you to do is spread out 6 feet up against the wall. So if you're right here in this area, if you could just come and spread out 6 feet as best you can, because we're trying to socially distance as best we can, because we realize our chambers are not big enough to accommodate this type of meeting. And so we wanted to open the doors of our church to you to give you this opportunity. But we do welcome you. Now, first of all, the most important thing is where are the bathrooms? So they're to my right in that corner there and to your left. And so if you just simply go back there, you can find a facility and use that. One of the things that you can do to help us tonight when we are finished with the meeting, if you will take your chair and just put it up against the wall, that would be a tremendous help to us. I want to say a special word to Brian Ayers and also to Grant Preston. They're up in the crow's nest. They have set up for us, and we're grateful for that. It's our policy here at Sweetwater to do our best about socially distancing, and you certainly can understand that. I want to thank the Planning Commission and thank you for your work and the opportunity we have tonight to hear more about their work. We all love Edgefield County, do we not? We love this area. I've been here now 15 years. I've raised my children here in Sweetwater Church. When I die, I will be buried out there. I already have a cemetery plot. And so we love Edgefield County. And we're all neighbors together. And we came in here as friends. Now, I'm going to tell you like I would tell the folks at Sweetwater. We came in here as friends. We're going to leave as friends. We're neighbors, are we not? And I want to remind you of what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 22, verse 37. A lawyer had asked him the question. He said, "What is the greatest commandment?" And Jesus quoted to him what is called the Shema in the book of Deuteronomy, and he says, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind." This is the first and great commandment. And the second is likened unto it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And we're neighbors here, and we're going to love each other and do our very best tonight. And I realize we're going to open it up for some opinions, and people are going to have the opportunity to speak, but I want to remind you of a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to ask you to be reverent. I know this is a gym, but it's still part of Sweetwater Baptist Church. You are in a church, and I'm going to ask you to keep that in mind when you do have the opportunity to speak. We're going to give you that opportunity to be heard, but be reverent because it is a church facility. Number two, be respectful of other people. Because we all have opinions, do we not? And that's what makes the world go round. You may not like what I like, and I may not like what you like, but we're going to agree to disagree together. And so if you understand what I'm talking about, just shake your head up and down, okay? All right, great. Let's bow together for a moment of prayer. Father, tonight we've gathered in this place together to conduct business. Your word says, let everything be done decently and in order. I pray that'll be the case tonight. I pray for our planning commission that you'll be with them, our consultant, Chairman Burt, and everyone who's going to be involved. I want to say thank you for Edgefield County, for our law enforcement that's here tonight to help us, and all the good citizens who are here. Lord, what a wonderful place to live and raise a family and, Lord, to die. And God, I pray tonight that your Spirit would invade this room. Lord, we want to be respectful of one another, and we want to be reverent, because God is everywhere, and he is in this room tonight. And so, Father, help us keep all that in mind, and bless, Lord, the proceeding now, and we commit it to you, and we ask this in the name of Jesus and for his sake. And all the Edgefieldians said, amen.
Thank you, Dr. Noel. At this time, we're going to ask everyone to stand, and we're going to repeat the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we'll have the approval of our agenda for February 11th, 2021 meeting agenda. Can I get a motion? Motion. Second? Motion and second that we approve the agenda for February 11th meeting. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposers? Ayes have it. We need approval of the minutes for January the 14th work session meeting. Motion. That second? Second. Motion and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposers? Ayes have it. I need approval for January the 14th regular meeting 2021. A motion? Motion. Second? All in favor, right hand. Opposed? Ayes have it. Our guest speaker tonight is John Ford, the Vice President at Robertson Company and lead consultant at Edgefield County on the Land Management Ordinance for the LMO project. And I introduce him at this time. Okay.
Will. Can you hear me now? One, two. Click it.
Is it on?
Testing 1, 2.
Doc,
I got it.
is there a green light? Is it on? Okay. Give it.
Testing 1, 2.
Yeah, we're not picking it up.
Yeah, they've got a green light. It's not working. I give them
Yeah. Doc, just switch it for the stand mic. Yeah.
Test. So don't. Go ahead.
All right.
All right. Can you hear me now in the back? Raise your hand if you. I'm pretty much. Damn. Excuse my language here. I have to be very soft-spoken, and I'm deaf in one ear, so that is not a good thing. All right. And I'm also partially blind, so that's another issue. Put this in my pocket, and that way we'll be okay. We've got a presentation very quickly because I think it may dispel some of the issues that we have been outlined as questions, and we hope to try to resolve some things that I think may be misunderstandings. Number one, the land use ordinance, the land use plan ordinance, or land management ordinance is actually taking several existing ordinances.
John, I hate to interrupt. This part of the agenda is just the introduction.
Okay. I'm ready to get on to it. I'm sure a lot of these people are too. My name is John Ford with Robert & Company. It's an engineering architecture firm. We have been involved in the practice of doing planning and zoning since I joined the firm in 1980. We have to go through several issues tonight as part of this discussion. And as I was saying earlier, I hope that this will help resolve some questions you may have. And then we certainly want to entertain any comments afterwards. Are you ready to proceed? All right.
At this time, thank you, John. Reports, LMO schedule staff and the consultant have updated the schedule for the remainder of the LMO draft procedure per Planning Commission discussion at the January 27, 2021 work session. I think all the members should have a copy of that, and this will go down on record as that. Any report from the staff on that? No? Okay. Old business. We have no old business, so we're going to our new business. Our new business, our first item is a subdivision application for Annalee Cole, Policy ID 163001091 Whitland Lake Road by JSMG Development, LLC. At this time, we're open for public hearing. Anyone here? Floor open for public hearing. Didn't anyone sign up? But anybody have any comments on this public hearing on this particular subdivision that we mentioned? Any? No? Question? Okay, if not, it was somebody. Well, they scratched through it, though. They scratched through it. Did you? You haven't? Okay, any questions from the commissioner on this particular one? If not, it seems that we reviewed it. They have met the requirements, and it has been approved. Everything is compliant according to what we consider. And we're ready for pending the approval from the stormwater, the wastewater, and the Aiken Electric Co-op. This time, if it's okay with the commissioner, satisfaction with it, we'd like for someone to introduce a motion to okay this for preliminary hearing, that they can go on with that work, pending the one that have been approved. Get a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plans for Ansley Cove.
I get a second. Second motion. Is a motion and second? Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of the said motion, raise your right hand. Opposers? Ayes have it. So
Thank you.
You're in the building department, sir. Draft land management ordinance and the draft zoning map. At this time, we're going to, Mr. Ford, you have the floor for your presentation.
Great. Can you hear me this time? Okay. I'm trying to make sure it's located far enough away to where we don't get so much reverb. I'll move it down a little more. All right. The land management ordinance. Okay. How do you hear me now in the back? Can you hear me? Testing. Okay. I wasn't sure how close to hold it, and after the first couple of experiments, it was a little bit too loud. I'm also going to be needing to be ambidextrous as well. All right. We do have a fairly long presentation, but I'm going to roll through it fairly quickly because I believe that we really need to be hearing from you. This presentation will be included online as soon as I can get staff to post it. But it does include a lot of information that I think may clarify some issues regarding the words that are going around in terms of what's included in this land management ordinance. And the purpose is to provide guidance for development within the existing future needs of the county. And it promotes the health, and I think more importantly, it promotes the appearance and prosperity and general welfare of the property owners and the residents of the county and other members of the public. It's used to gather, and the intent of the land management ordinance is to gather the numerous existing ordinances that are already out there, the codes of Edgefield County. They may not be exactly in the same form right now. They do affect land development and put them in various documentations. Just the land development portion of the code right now is 108 pages long and includes approximately 33 additional amendments to it. The intent of the land management ordinance is to try to take that and put it together in one document, make it a lot easier to use, and to move around some of the same information that's already in the ordinance, but put it in a place where it's easier to find, especially for people who are reading it for the first time. The timeline. The County Council appointed a land management ordinance steering committee. They discussed the requirements of the ordinance and talked about a lot of the very general ideas that need to be included. They made recommendations and edits to the draft text and the maps. The draft ordinance was forwarded to the Edgefield County Planning Commission for review and action. Unfortunately, it was then delayed by the COVID pandemic, and therefore it did not proceed for at least 4 months. The Plan Commission will hold public hearings. My understanding is this is the first. It will review the draft text and maps, make recommendations for a draft to the County Council for review and action. The County Council will then, and that's where we are now, the County Council will then review the draft in at least 3 public readings. They will hold a public hearing, probably the second of the readings. They'll approve appropriate edits. They'll determine the dates when it might go into implementation, and they will repeal the existing ordinances and approve the adoption of the final ordinance. If we're talking about the timeline of where we've been, this thing started in June of 2019 when the comprehensive plan was adopted. The process to create the committee was in August of 2019. We met into January, had some public information meetings in February. The April draft outline was presented to the Land Management Ordinance Committee. In May and June, we saw a proposed zoning map drafted by the staff, and in August, we completed the first detailed draft text. I would have called that a 50% draft. In September, the process was then deferred to 2021 by the county. So we're just now really resuming the work on this ordinance. It's not complete. It's not what we're going to do. It is the starting point from which we launch from. The intent is that in March we're going to complete the review with edits to send to County Council. And we're anticipating at the earliest, the first public reading at County Council will be in April. That's all dependent upon making sure the Plan Commission is happy with it first. The process really takes identifying what the problems are with the existing code, reviewing them and diagnosing how we can write them better, and identify the community feedback to the recommended update. This process has moved from review to drafting a new ordinance. Feedback's very important to the county's consideration of these recommendations, and feedback is what we're really looking for. The status as of today is that this is a working draft. All elements are expected to continue to evolve based upon reviews and the edits directed by the Plan Commission and by the County Council. The primary contact for this is Kevin Singletary, who's the county planner. He has been and will continue to compile questions and comments to share with the Plan Commission. That will be considered prior to the next meeting of the Planning Commission. Where we get to as part of this process, and what the heart of a lot of it is the zoning. How is the county currently zoned? Right now you have 5 categories. This map shows 6, but RR and RRD are really the same requirements. So you have 5 basic categories for a county that's growing like crazy. You only have 2 residential categories as part of this. You have 1 commercial, 1 industrial, 1 general development. That's okay for a very rural county, but you're gradually and actually you're fastly changing in terms of how the county is set up. At the current time, only about 20% of the county is zoned, primarily along the US 25 corridor and around the towns of Edgefield and Johnston. Those districts, and this is probably all not much, if I can get back here. Here we go. Where'd it go? There we go. There we go. Up. These are the districts you currently have. General agricultural development, residential agricultural, rural residential, limited commercial, industrial development, and then you have 4 special districts. Planned development special district, the flood hazard overlay, the airport compatibility overlay, and the highway overlay. What does that map, how does that map affect the comprehensive plan? Come on, move forward. Come on, baby. There we go. This is the 2019 comprehensive plan. I was involved in the preparation of this plan. What you see is white there is mostly low intensity agricultural and low density residential uses. The yellows show primarily the little bit higher density residential, where you might have more than 1 unit an acre. The green primarily shows you the national forest. So you can see that you have significant amount of the county is not proposed to be highly developed. The southern portion and the areas around Johnston and Trenton are. So what were the primary takeaways from the comprehensive plan? And this is where it gets a little gritty. The plan identified that change is coming, but it should be directed to where it best fits. We wanted to support growth on the US 25 corridor and around the town centers. We want to protect the rural residential character and aesthetics of the Martintown and Sweetwater Road corridors. We want to protect the rural agricultural character on the north side of the county. But some of the other elements that were identified is we need to support the towns and jobs and the jobs and the residents to locate in the county. We also need rooftops if we're going to see commercial growth. There was a change in the language of the comprehensive plan that affected the suburban residential as part of the adoption of the comprehensive plan. That change really affected the opportunities of how dense certain types of development could be. It did not change the overall density of the comprehensive plan, because the comprehensive plan is not based upon how many properties can you identify there? It's based upon the demographics and the economics of the suburban residential area. Most of those areas are going to continue to develop as residential, and probably what I would consider, if I were speaking as an urban planner, I'd say they're very low density. But from my standpoint, they're the low density within the Edgefield context. So what are the big LMO issues? Yeah, okay. All right. What does the LMO provide to protect the existing community from unwanted impacts, especially from unregulated growth? How do we prevent too much regulation? That was a big question, where we, I believe, have some significant questions still to be resolved. Chapter 2, the use table. That is a primary use table. We'll get into it a little bit more in a couple of minutes, but that is showing what the primary use within those zoning categories should be. And that primary use is based upon federal codes for occupations and land uses. It's called the NAICS code. It's a very commonly used practice. And what we're trying to do in that is identify in a matrix, if it's appropriate as the primary use, what kinds of zoning should be considered appropriate for. That matrix is a draft matrix. It is not a complete matrix. And I'll get into that in just a minute. Chapter 3, the zoning categories. We have some significant things I want to tell you about on the chapter 3 in the residential, the commercial and mixed uses, and then overlays. In Chapter 4, we want to talk about the restrictions on particular use. In Chapter 6, the building and site design. There's a lot of information in this ordinance, an awful lot of information. Okay. If zoning is not provided, the current codes do not confront challenges to development pressures in Edgefield County. They're still considering Edgefield's zoning would be a rural county. You're at the suburban edge of Augusta. Augusta is growing a lot faster even than many other communities within the southeast. There are restrictions on lot sizes, including development in unzoned areas of the county that are not present. And there are no restrictions on permitted principal use if the property is not zoned, including some potentially high impact uses. Ultimately, the county ordinance will not be in compliance with the comprehensive plan. That is required by state planning law, planning enabling law. And the problem that occurs is that your zoning and your decisions could be overturned by the courts. If the county's zoning is not compatible, the county is not in compliance with the state law, and the existing codes will still need to be updated to provide compatibility. Therefore, the existing codes need to be updated to provide compatibility and compliance. So why should we move forward with this LMO? Well, in July of 2019, the County Council directed the Planning Commission to form the steering committee to prepare the draft and forward that to the Planning Commission. The steering committee did that. I would have liked to have seen a lot more input, but that is the input that I received when the steering committee said, we're ready for this to go to the Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission, here's where we are now, it's in the red. We're holding a public hearing on the draft received. That's what they're holding this hearing on. Like I said, it's not a complete draft, it's a draft. They have to approve a revised draft they're going to forward to the county council. I'm expecting lots of very specific edits and comments. We can certainly accommodate those, and that's the way the process was organized. The revised draft will then be reviewed and adopted by county council. Again, they will hold a public hearing. I'm assuming, as usual, it will be the second public hearing of county council, a second reading of county council. We just did this with the city of Orangeburg. and the process has been working very, very well. I'm expecting that what will happen at the end of this draft with the Plan Commission will be what is going to be answering a lot of your questions that you may have. So what do we need from the public? We're looking for the Plan Commission to receive constructive input from the public to identify the specific issues. And there are a lot of them. We know that. And we also want to help identify what possible solutions that can help the Plan Commission complete changes that are right for Edgefield County. The intent is that this ordinance should be unique to Edgefield County, not a off-the-shelf ordinance that other communities would want to use. So the purpose and the application of the LMO is actually in Chapter 1. Most draft LMO chapters, besides that, are already existing in county codes. They're just scattered through several of the codes. Existing County Code Chapter 24, which is land development, that is very long, has a lot of information, and that just needs to be better organized. The existing County Code Chapter 8, which is buildings and building regulations, that provides requirements for buildings, lots, and construction. Existing Code Chapter 18, which is environment, provides for soil and erosion control and protection from flooding. Existing County Code Chapter 30, manufactured housing, well, that needs to be integrated into the remainder of the ordinance so that it makes sense if someone's coming in with an application. We don't want to send them through a lot of extra requirements because there's they are, quote, only pursuing a manufactured or home rather than a regular stick-built house. However, because of many of the decisions that have been made in the courts, we have to prove that we're showing that consistency. This next one. Chapter 24, like I said, Chapter 24 is more than 108 pages long. It's providing the basis for the recommended Chapters 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. It is dividing it up into easier to understand segments. The zoning and special districts and restrictions on uses will move to the LMO Chapters 2, 3, and 4. The building and construction standards will move to the LMO Chapter 6. They're not moving only with the existing language, but we are trying to update that language to ensure that it can be consistent with the state planning enabling law. The state tends to try to update that about every 5 to 6 years. Existing Chapter 20 and parts of Chapter 44, which is streets and sidewalks, will be incorporated into the LMO chapters to clarify and improve the information provided so that when someone is talking about a site development, they have the roads information right there. Chapters 8, 9, 10, and 11 provide standards for projects and the process. They're mostly administrative requirements like the protocol to apply, how they can be reviewed, how they can be appealed. The appeals process is extremely important. The LMO also requires some new, pretty complex information. Chapter 8 in the existing county code environment will move with updates to the LMO Chapter 5. The big issue that we were looking at as part of the environment is flood control. One of the things we found is, well, maybe we don't need flood control with the recently adopted environmental requirements and flood requirements that were only adopted, I believe, in 2018, if I remember right. The federal laws regarding signs have received a lot of attention. We are giving the county's Plan Commission an opportunity to look at a very detailed ordinance that is based on the recent findings of the U.S. Supreme Court. It is not a simple ordinance. The part of it is that you cannot regulate what a sign says. You have to regulate how it is situated on the property and some other specific language. I actually had a sign ordinance specialist write this. So that's what's presented right now. It's complex enough to be able to be defended in court. And then there are definitions that are in every chapter. Matter of fact, in chapter chapter 24 existing, there are 6 different sections that provide definitions. I thought, and I believe that the steering committee agreed, that they need to be in one place where people can read them. The land management ordinance outline, pretty straightforward. There we go. There's 12 chapters proposed. And one of the things that we did is we compared it with other jurisdictions while we were doing this. Now, some of those you're familiar with, like McCormick County and Greenwood County, City of Aiken. Aiken County, certainly. Aiken County has a land management ordinance. We also pulled some land management ordinances from other communities, like the City of Conway Unified Development Code. That was one of the sources that we used, in addition to Catoosa County, Georgia. Catoosa County is the northwestern part of Georgia, between Chattanooga and Dalton. We specifically wrote chapters 2, 3, and 4 because they needed to be uniquely tied to the comprehensive plan recommendations. So that's one of the reasons that those were structured that way. So what is recommended is that we are recommending 9 districts. Rural is divided into 3. Residential is divided into 3. There's 2 commercial and 2 industrial. We are also looking at the PUD district, where we have Planned Development District has got some specific court-required requirements in terms of adopting a PD or PUD. We also are looking at, well, what happens if you don't have the commercial part of that? So there is a proposal for a custom residential district. You can see we only have 2 overlay districts, the corridor design protection overlay and the airport compatibility overlay. The flood hazard concerns are already covered by the environmental ordinance and by the way that it's structured within recent county decision making. Move on to this. If you look at the maps there, and there's another one in the back, this zoning map was the staff's first attempt to try to understand, well, how should things be laid out? Again, it is a draft. It's early in the process. It needs more details. We're looking for that input. But generally, you can see the various categories there, and they're consistent with the categories we have, the zoning districts we have proposed. If you take a look at that map, this is what it looks like, and you really need to look at it much closer. And what I wanted to do is go to this next slide. All right. One of the issues that we're also looking at right now, and it may make it a little harder to interpret, is the dark green is the least intensive development. This is how it was structured when the GIS put the map together. So I've asked that one of the things we'll do as we go through this process, we'll try to pull that back down to where it's very light colored, like the white that's adjacent to it. You can see that most of the development that's in the proposed zoning is very consistent with what's proposed in the comprehensive plan. The intent behind that is the comprehensive plan directs where we should be going. It does not provide that zoning, though. So, and where I think that there are quite a few questions here. The Chapter 2 use table. The principal use table provides the hearts what is permitted within each district. It shows A for allowed, C for conditionally allowed, S for special exception, and P uses, which are shown by a blank use in the table, are the uses prohibited. Again, it's the first cut at that. So one of the things that we need to look at, Table 2.1 is for the principal use. It did not include Table 2, that should say Table 2-2. which is what we needed to prepare. Table 2-2 is accessory uses, home occupations. That's where I think a lot of people have been concerned because they may not have seen that those uses are not missing out of the primary use table. They're just accessory uses. Excuse me. Oh, it's already gone. This table is the accessory use table. It's still short right now because we did not get into much discussion with the steering committee as to what it should include. It does, and you can see in the yellow right there on the left, it says home occupation. We have several things that we're still looking at. Non-commercial production of livestock and animals that needs to be allowed in RA, RC, RE, RL, and RS, and potentially, RA, RC, and RE, which are the rural districts. Residential districts, it should be allowed as conditional use. We haven't decided for sure whether that should be conditional or just automatically allowed. We do not prohibit it in any of these districts. Home occupations are allowed in all 6 of the residential and rural districts. There is some additional work to be done, and specifically 2 things that we did add. Another one was personal horse stable. We also have started re-looking at that preliminary, at the primary use table. Stuff we just left off. I mean, that was the nature of dealing with a 25-page matrix. Good example was that we were showing deer processing in industrial district, but we believe now is that needs to be provided in the rural districts. Hey, that's our mistake. I mean, and we own up to that. As I said before, this is a process that we're going through. Move on. The rural residential districts, RA, RC, and RE, the allowed uses are light and agricultural, larger lots, including domesticated farm stock, and a variety of appropriate commercial uses may be identified as allowed uses in the RA district. One of the things that is sort of difficult for people to understand, you've heard the term mixed use in an urban context. Yeah, and your downtown might have more mixed uses and allow commercial, residential to be in, possibly even in one building. Well, mixed use also takes place at the lowest intensity of development, agricultural districts, because you have many mixed uses within an agricultural area. That's why we believe that the rural districts need to have some forms of allowed uses. Uses that are not allowed within these areas are things like heavy commercial or industrial uses when they impact adjacent properties. A good example might be a cattle feeding operation or a hog feeding operation. Those have impacts on adjacent properties, not only in terms of smell and noise and issues that you may have with adjacent property owners, but also the impacts you have on roads that people are using to get to and from their houses when they're also occupied by vehicles that have major conflicts with what they provide. The suburban uses, let me get to that one. The residential large lots, the residential suburban, and the RV. This is when you're really dealing with the opportunity to be smaller lot sizes. Residential large lots are real small 1-acre lots, which is currently what you have allowed within your unzoned areas now. The allowed uses are primarily single-family residential and basic agricultural uses. This includes all of appropriate home occupations. Where we may be more restrictive, though, in terms of areas because you're dealing with smaller lot size. You also, though, have the ability to come back in and apply for conditional use because you have a larger lot. You have lesser impacts. So that's part of how this process is supposed to work. The conditions and special exceptions may allow some impactful non-residentials, if they're approved, when there is appropriate screening or setbacks or other mitigation requirements are met. Commercial and mixed-use zones. These include light service commercial and general service commercial. We also may include light industrial and manufacturing and general industrial manufacturing. They're primarily oriented around non-residential uses and may allow some higher densities, especially in the commercial districts. We need to consider whether or not single-family housing may be appropriate within this district because the topography is what they need. Generally, you say that might be more exclusive, and we don't include it, but we might look at that as being one of the possibilities that we can edit into this plan. Remember, you're editing for Edgefield County, not for Aiken County, not for Greenwood County, certainly not for Richland County. The uses that are not allowed residential needs to be determined whether it should be allowed by right or might be a conditional use. The overlays were identified in the comprehensive plan. And get to that. Oops, overshot. All right. I included 5 overlay districts which were involved in the comprehensive plan. However, each overlay that is proposed can be put together in segments. It can be put together for an entire corridor. It can be actually put together for an area like the areas around Johnston or Trenton or Edgefield. One of the things that we have discussed is that we need to ensure that we have to add those as restrictions to protect the corridor aesthetics. In terms of if you're going to say, well, this is the area where we really need to look at what kind of fences people should be allowed to build, I think that that's where it opens up the question as to what type of fences should be allow people to see. Because the fence along the corridor, if that's supposed to be an aesthetic advantage for maintaining the quality of the character along that corridor, then you might be able to look at saying, well, I don't really like having to do that. I understand that. But then we want to make that determination. Should that be what we determine within this ordinance? It doesn't mean that we have to, but it does mean that we're looking at it. One of the things that we did say, though, is that areas that are out of sight don't necessarily need to be required to have the same restrictions that the areas that are in sight that you're trying to protect the look and the character of the area. You might be able to do it, but one of the things that we looked at is that certainly if you're over the hilltop, you're not part of the visual aesthetic of driving that corridor and trying to keep it residential. So that's an important element to consider as part of the overlays. The restrictions in Chapter 4, there we go, that addresses the restrictions of specific use. This one's real testy, and I can understand that. Right now, the codes are identifying things like bed and breakfast. I don't necessarily agree with what it currently says. We want to look at that. How can we better put that together so that a bed and breakfast still maintains the aesthetic quality that people want to provide within the community? So there's the opportunities for input. The multifamily housing, there are certainly some restrictions we need to look at in terms of if there is a multifamily. One of the things that we had an issue with in the comprehensive plan is we don't show multifamily. We don't show a multifamily area. We looked at it and tried to see if we could deal with it. The only place where you might see some multifamily in the next 20 years, maybe more than that, there may be some time that we'll look at it. But the only places that we know right now are in the centers of your more intensive activity areas, close to the cities, close to 25, That makes sense. Solar farms. There's another example of if we're going to put restrictions on the solar farms, then we need to understand how do they affect the community and adjacent property owners. There's probably a lot more of a question regarding solar farms that we're seeing a very strong interest in, well, that's a possible use of land. If I've worn the land out and I'm not able to get as much back in a short term as I would by growing trees. So it's a possibility that we can look at. Telecommunications towers are certainly areas where there needs to be restrictions on particular uses. This also continues on providing for accessory uses and structures. Move that. Oops, I already was there. Excuse me. There may be some restrictions on an accessory use, including certain types of home occupations. A good example there might be, why can't I park my concrete manufacturing equipment on my half-acre lot? That's a legitimate question. I think that we want to try to consider that. The open storage and solar panels, we're starting to see more and more homes add solar panels as part of it. We also want to ensure that when we deal with temporary uses, at the edge of the community, you have lots of things where people say, well, can I do this as a temporary basis? You may have some interest there in terms of how do we do that, allow that, but still require them to conform to the building codes, the cleanups afterwards especially. So I think that's an important element there. And I'm getting close to the end, guys. Chapter 6 is the buildings and site design. That provides the dimension requirements. Those can be editable. You know, we can look at that some more. But it identifies what buffers, landscaping, and screening requirements need to be included in an ordinance. By zoning district, possibly, and by use, certainly. It creates standards for off-street parking. One of the things that's occurring in the planning industry right now is reducing how much off-street parking is required. But that's okay for a city, but it isn't necessarily okay for a rural community or a suburban community. We also want to ensure, a biggie for us, is ensuring that we allow for conservation subdivision design. So I believe that that's certainly what was identified as desired within the community, and I believe that it's the coming thing for a community that's going to continue to grow and develop and give people the opportunity to live the way they want to live. And if they want to maintain rural nature, you may have some places where you have 8 or 9 homes maybe clumped together in order to preserve much larger green space around them. So that's an opportunity that we certainly can look at. One of the things that I did as part of the process was I loaned a book by a gentleman named Randall Arendt about how we can best look at conservation subdivision. And that's something that we want to discuss with the Plan Commission over the next several weeks. What do we need from the public? We need constructive input. I apologize that there's so many people who are here who are thinking that this may have been a lot further along than it is. But it's a draft. It needs input. We do not believe that just doing something in secret is better than giving you an opportunity to see the sausage being made. That's like what this is. We're in the very early process as part of this effort. So we're showing you what needs to go into this documentation. And finally, help identify any possible solutions. If you've got ideas that you think that the planning commissioners need to hear in order to develop this more appropriately, by all means, tell the planning commissioners. Tell Kevin Singletary emails, any kind of information that you can provide to him. I'm a consultant. I come from out of town. I know what that is also implies, but what we are trying to do is we're trying to ensure that the process allows your input now, tomorrow, next week, before the Planning Commission adopts this, and certainly before the County Council adopts it. That's what the presentation is all about. So I'm going to leave it back to the Planning Commission if they've got some questions, and then open it, I'm sure.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. We appreciate that, and we appreciate your patience and listening. At this time, we're going to go into a public hearing, and a lot of you sent comments in and request that some be read and so forth. We have about 7 or more. This is what we got here. We'll be here tomorrow reading them, and we all have copies of them. And I'm going to ask we plan to make a public record of them, and they'll be available for you to read and so forth. I'm going to ask the county attorney if he would come up and explain the process too. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if this is on, but as you just stated, you have approximately 70 comments from members of the public that were introduced online. Some of the comments are short, but a lot of them are long. Some are page and a half, 2 pages long, with a lot of quotes. If we sit through and read all those comments out loud, that means the people here are not going to be able to give their opinions and everything. So what I suggest is that the comments be placed on public record, and be introduced into the record, and be put on the website so that the members of the public and you can also review that. But I suggest that as a motion to do that with the comments that have been submitted.
Thank you, sir. The commission understand that we'll is it okay that is motion all in favor of that?
It needs to be a motion.
All in favor. Give me a motion on this, sir.
Motion.
Second. Motion and second that I'll go on record. All these comment goes on record. Available to the public. Yeah. Okay. They will go on public record and be available.
Yeah, I'm just requesting that the additional letter that came to me at the beginning of the meeting be added to the rest for the official motion.
All comments that have been received so far. Okay.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Hold the ayes have it. So
That gives you the opportunity to have a
he
comment.
will be available. Accordingly. Now we're down to we have quite a few here that on the name list here, and we're going to strictly limit it to 2 minutes. 2 minutes. No exception to the rule. And I got my timekeeper over here. And you come up and state your name and the district that you are in. I should have your address here already. And I'm going to 28. That's right. So we're going to have, when you come up and speak, when I hit the gavel, that means your time is up. So I'm going to try some of these names. I'm going to try to pronounce them right. Some of them I can read and some I can't. But Rick Oster, let's see, O-S-T-E-R. You here? Okay. Okay, next will be Kurt Buns.
Members of the commission, maybe a little fragmented since we're...
State your name in the district. Yeah.
My name is Rick Oster. I live in District 2.
You're not talking yet.
Can they hear me? Is this okay? Since we're very limited on time, I'll just share a few thoughts with you. I chose with intent a rural property with no zoning at the end of a dirt road when I moved to Edgefield, so that I might be left to my own devices and personal liberties to manage that property in the way that I see fit, not in a way that county government might tell me I'm allowed or is acceptable. And in listening today, the word allowed tends to come up over and over and over. And so what we're looking at is a situation where we go from independent existence with private property rights to now being told what's allowed. And it's not acceptable for a lot of us that actively chose to live where we live for those reasons. Neither LMOs or zoning are mandated by state law. The comprehensive plan, along with county ordinances, ones that are not changed at the last minute in direct contravention to citizens' wishes, should be a viable option to manage issues and foster growth without the proposition of control on our properties that will occur at a micro level with this 376 pages of proposition. To be clear, these drafts did not offer me protections against residential development or industrial-scale solar power facilities. So the illusory promises of safety and protection proffered to us did not constitute an acceptable exchange for my individual property rights. The LMO and subsequent zoning are not primarily for the protection of the rural citizens, in my view. They will facilitate the needs and wants of developers and investors in every part of the county that they ultimately deem profitable. Once they're in place, they can be changed at the whim of this council or a future council, all while instituting the prospect of extreme oversight with regard to our property. I believe most of us here today are here in an effort to preserve our individual property rights as they are. The chairman of the county council stated, and I quote, "Property rights are for the owner of the property, the foundational part of our republic." I would request that we respect that.
Jim Deal and Terry Deal, is that correct? Okay. And Jane Oliver?
Hello, my name is Kurt Barnes. I live in District 5. I'd like to get some clarification on the corridor overlays of the Meriwether area. The paperwork states in section 3.7.8, Meriwether Corridor's overlay purpose and intent is designed to protect residents, support economic growth, and enhance development. Then right below that in section 3.7.8.1.1, it states the Meriwether Corridor overlay is created to provide an emphasis on maintaining the integrity of the corridor to facilitate a mixture of uses including residential, commercial, industrial. I am strongly against any overlays in the Meriwether area except on Highway 25. From what I see, from what I'm reading, there are 7 separate overlays, one being Highway 25, which I fully understand since it's that way coming from Macon County, and is a full 4-lane road. I do have questions regarding point 3, point 7, point 9, point 10, point 2. It states that a pre-manufactured steel building shall not be allowed as a principal building in the overlay area. Is that a commercial engineer building? I'll let y'all answer that after a while. In table 3.5A4, the maximum setback shows 90 feet off, 90 feet or to be determined the other. So who determines that? The other 6, my understanding is Sweetwater Road, 5 Notch, Murray Road Extension, Currytown Road, and Martintown Road of the overlay. You go to Aiken County or North Augusta zoning maps, neither have an overlay coming into Edgefield County. Those roads are coming from Aiken County to 5 Notch and to Martintown Road. The Aiken County map is a 2016 or even 2019. The Edgefield map is a 2005 to a 2014. We need to update the map. the Walmart hadn't even been built on the maps that we show from 2014.
Jane Oliver, the deal. We had two deals on that. Terry and Jim. You passing both of them? Yes, ma'am. Okay, go ahead. James Oliver.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Reporting for duty.
Paige Oops Owens will be next. Of Oops Road.
Don't take my time, Fab, now. Thank the Planning Commission, all you members that are here today. I appreciate what you're doing. I've sat up on there for approximately 7 years myself. It is not an easy thing to do, but let me get to it. So I got a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you a copy of my minutes. I want all this included in my official record. I'll only be able to cover a couple of things here. So just for those of you who don't know me, I was on the Planning Commission. I was the one that was fired by Mr. Cooper because I did not want Anderson Point to be a proposed development because of the high density, the drainage problems that you have in that particular area. But needless to say, Mr. Cooper fired me anyway because I didn't do what he said. So, and I had that documented in 2 phone calls and in a luncheon meeting I had with Mr. Cooper, and I believe he's here in the back, and he can verify that if you ask him. First of all, the comprehensive plan, in my opinion, should be the overriding document for the county and not this detailed document that we have right now. We've gone in way too deep, too soon, and I believe that this comprehensive plan should go back and put some ideas in there in regards to what the lot sizes could be, more residential. We all talk about we want to keep this rural county rural, and we want to have this beautiful area. And why do people move from Columbia County, Aiken County, and other counties here? They want to be what Edgefield County is right now, and we want to keep it that way. I also suggest that the land management ordinance was put on a moratorium. Why wasn't the Planning Commission put on a moratorium at the same time? We got hit with a number of large developments for approval, as all of you standing up here know, and that is not an easy thing to do when you're told the only thing you have to use is a comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan, I put my heart and soul into writing that, and it was rejected because nobody believes the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Is Paige Oops Owens here? That's correct. Yeah. Are they? Ashley Williams, Kent Richards, next. Yeah, okay. Yeah, oh, yeah, replacement.
Thank you very much for giving me this concession. My name is Deanna Carroll. I'm an attorney from Aiken County, and I am here representing at least 19 citizens of Edgefield County. I've honestly lost count at this point in time. I had previously been retained to deal with very specific land use planning issues for people here in Edgefield. And I tell you, I just saw this LMO last week, and I was taken by storm. I was shocked and amazed at some of the things that I saw. So we organized very quickly, and I submitted to you written comments. They are not nearly as exhaustive as they should be. There are a few errors we found, and I'm going to give you a corrected one because we really had to hustle. This is just too important for words. I respect how difficult this process is, as was presented to you in the introduction there. It is hard, it is complicated, but please, God, please don't do it in a month and do it halfway and then let the county suffer because this importantly difficult process is done halfway. It's my view that you just can't have it both ways. It can't be both complicated and something that we have to have right now. So what needs to happen in our view is that the people here of Edgefield need to have an opportunity to meaningfully comment and meaningfully propose revisions, to have a meaningful LMO that you can recommend or no LMO at all. You don't have to do this. One very important example of how this draft goes very wrong is in Table -1. If you look at the section that is relevant to solar farms, you will see that in every single column relating to every single zoning district, there is the letter A. That letter A means that solar farms are allowed. Now, I know that in comprehensive planning, a lot of times solar farms are treated as commercial. They're treated in a soft way, and they're allowed to be in a lot of different areas that you might not expect when you discuss the term solar farms. But I'm going to tell you, those farms can be a lot more than soft commercial. They can be massive. They can go for miles. They are definitely not something you're going to want in your backyard where you live. So this needs to be addressed meaningfully before anything leaves this commission. Thank you for your time. I'm here. I appreciate you. Now this, in order for this to occur, that means that an organizational process, just standing up here and taking comments from me like this is not going to get it done. You're going to have people who are going to feel better for having vented. People do want to hear, that they have been heard. But if they've got 2 minutes, they can't meaningfully supply you with something that can turn this into anything that could ever be acceptable. So I would suggest to you that there are processes. I'm sure this gentleman who developed the comp plan has probably been facilitated before. Maybe you need to get these people in small groups. Maybe you need to have them come in so that they can tell you exactly how these things will actually impact them, and then get those down into a form that can be resolved into something that is useful for this community, not disturbing to this community. When you look at that table 2.1 and all those A's in every category, meaning that you could have, and you are in fact, in a way, guaranteeing, because you are giving away your discretion. You are giving your away, you're telling ahead of time, solar farms, no matter how big, they are allowed in every single zone, so we can't question that. We can only look at what requirements are placed on them. Well, then you step over into Chapter 4 and you look at the requirements, it's a joke. I mean, right now, if you, for instance, we are very well aware that there are toxic chemicals and products involved in this type of use that could affect you, that could affect me. And if these people decide that the solar is not working out for them anymore, you have no way to enforce that they remove these items. Right now, that section says, oh, okay, yes, you have to remove it if you don't use it for more than a year, or 6 months, I forget which it is. But why do you think they're not using it? They're not using it because they're out of business. They're probably bankrupt. Exactly how are you going to get them to come back and spend a pile of money in order to remove these items so that we're safe from the toxic items that are part of that use? You're not going to be able to do it. The only other significant requirement that was associated with that is that they had to give their contact information. I'm going to tell you, contact information and a requirement they just come do it is not going to protect us from that use, from the fact that you're going to be left with potentially miles of empty, dead stuff that could be dangerous to you. It can be dangerous to threatened and endangered species. It is not aesthetically pleasing. I mean, if you're looking at, sometimes these involve hundreds of acres. Sometimes they involve hundreds of, maybe even thousands of panels. I know none of us wants to look out our rear window and see 800 acres of solar panels where maybe there used to be trees or farms or whatever. Now, I respect the portion of the discussion earlier where the man who introduced the matter indicated, well, it would be reasonable in a worn area to have a use like this. Well, that's true, but this plan, this LMO, does not restrict it to worn-out areas that can be used for other things. I think we can expect clear cutting. I think we can expect areas that were previously natural, used for agriculture, end up looking like they're in a higher and better use in something like a solar farm. So in short, you have a long way to go. Thank you.
Ashley Williams.
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name is Ashley Williams. I live in District 2, right at the intersection of District 5. I live directly adjacent to where Tavern Hill will be built. We have a cattle farm. It's been in existence since the 60s where my family bought and purchased property. We will continue to have cattle. To your comment, sir, I certainly cannot control the direction that the wind blows. So anybody that moves into Tavern Hill will be subject to smelling cattle. In addition, and I say this in all due respect to the gentleman here, imagine 15 years from now if County Council Chair Scott Cooper had come down from Virginia, these ordinances were in effect. I would submit to you that the folks sitting in your seats at that point at the county council level most likely would not approve for Mr. Cooper to have cattle on that farm because of, as the gentleman mentioned, the smell, etc., from the cattle. In addition, and I say this with all due respect, this is business, right? This is business. You're conducting business. You have people that are on this planning commission that are making recommendations to the council that basically have financial interest in this. First and foremost, you have Mr. Joel Presley, respectfully, who is a realtor. He's associated with Presley Realty and now with Maybaum. You have Mr. Todd Brown with R.D. Brown Contractors, who is a principal involved with the entity that is developing Tavern Hill. So from a financial standpoint, they certainly have financial gain as a motive. It's tough when you're in that position to not make decisions that are in your own best interest. I appreciate your time. I do think there need to be guidelines for Edgefield County, but certainly nothing like what has been proposed. Thank you.
Keith Richards. Keith. Ma'am. Oh, okay. Wait, don't sorry. Sarah Dimdale. Curry Court. I pass. You want to speak? You know. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I know. If we go out and get them, you know, we give them to you. Okay. I got a lot of names on here. I'm gonna have to spell. I can't read it. Andy Rick, R-I-C. I think they have the same address. Jason Furman, Cornett Drive. That's you. Come on up. I'm going to call the address because some of them I can't read them.
My name's Jason Firmage from District 5. I'm specifically here for residents of Springcrest Subdivision, which was approved by this body in 1995 as a single-family resident subdivision. And currently in this LMO and draft, they have us zoned under village residential, and half of 5 Notch Road and Sweetwater Road is also under that village residential, which allows apartment complexes, drug rehabs, triplexes, quadplexes, and such. Specifically, Spring Crest Subdivision has protective covenants on it, and we've discussed this with the Planning Commission since about February of last year. We was in front of this body several times about y'all trying to include a supposedly new subdivision within our existing footprint, which was 30 triplexes. And I learned tonight, in June of this year, y'all's draft zoning map put us under village residential, knowing we had protective covenants, which only allowed for single-family residents. So at least we could be put under suburban residential or large lot residential would be satisfactory. And anybody that might have a financial interest in any of these decisions recuse themselves from voting on this to move forward. Thank you.
John Mackey? Deborah Mackey? Yes, sir. Come up. Who are you?
Thank you for recognizing me on the floor. I moved here 7 years ago to Edgefield
State
County.
your name, district, sir. Your name, sir?
Tim F. Smith.
Okay.
Live on Woodward Lake Road. I moved to Edgefield County because where I moved to, Judge Simons passed in Aiken, and the land was sold, and they're building houses on it, which I can't stop that. And I'm just wondering, is the county more interested in making money, or is the county more interested in having the people to have some say before everything gets okayed by the Planning and Zoning Commission? Thank you.
Jason, KVEPS, is that? Yes, sir, come on.
It's correct. It's all good.
Good evening. My name is Jason Krebs, District 5, and I wanted to speak more on a personal level than get into specifics, but my wife and I own the property at Martintown Road and Bella Vita Way. I want to first say that I oppose any type of zoning and hope you say no to this proposal. By introducing zoning, you are taking away the core of what makes Edgefield County attractive. Many who choose to call Edgefield County home did so trying to escape the regulations and overcrowding that can be seen in North Augusta and Columbia County. We purchased property in Edgefield County a few years ago for this very reason, and we're looking forward to escape our current HOA in Aiken County in 2 years before our children started preschool. This land gave us the best of both worlds, since most of the road frontage falls in the non-HOA neighborhood setting, but is large enough to give us some privacy. Your current proposal, however, puts all of that at risk, as our land would fall in a commercial zone, preventing us from building our dream home. This is unacceptable. It is my property, and the government shouldn't have any say in what I can't build. By adding zoning, you are ultimately forcing us to sell our land. And I ask you, how is that fair? Bottom line is this: I love my wife, I love my children, and I want to build them their dream home. and I don't think you should tell me I can't do that. Thank you.
Ricky Mellion on Phoenix Court.
Name's Ricky Medlin. I live in District 2. I've lived out here 36 years. I come out here and built 5 houses in Edgefield County since I've been here, 2 for my daughters. I'm like everybody else. I come out this way. This isn't Evans, Georgia, which y'all trying to ram down our throat. This isn't North Augusta. Y'all keep wanting all this and wanting to jack us on all these taxes that y'all throw the money away, $280,000 to this crazy firm to come tell us what we need here. We know y'all ought to ask the people in Edgefield County what they need. Subdivision starting everywhere. I'm just saying, if Edgefield County members aren't happy in Edgefield, why don't y'all move to Evans or North Augusta? I mean, get out of here if y'all ain't happy with us out here. Subdivisions y'all bringing here, I've built many houses. These aren't going to perk on these lots. These little half-acre lots, I've done built every time I've had to have an acre and a half, 2 acres, 3 acres to get a land to perk. And y'all sitting here thinking all these little chicken subdivisions y'all going to get money coming in, y'all throwing up is going to bring revenue in, but y'all not going to be able to have them perk when y'all get to checking all these subdivisions y'all trying to throw on everybody. And then to come tell me I can have a trailer in my yard or I can't, woe be you when you come tell me. That's all I can tell you.
PAZ, need somebody that can write. I got a lot of names here, but I can't. They're not ready, but let's see. Hold on. Give me a minute. You got Darrell Doman, Timothy Crossan. They're not here. We have someone here off of Rolling 166 Rolling Hills. That's you. What's your last name? Okay, come on up.
You ready?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for giving me 1 minute is really all I need. We moved here about 1.5 years ago, and I second what these... Oh, Desdemona Postalski. I don't know what area it is for 166 Rolling Hills, because we're still fairly new. We moved here to be left alone, to not have the government tell us what to do. We left Washington State with incredibly high property taxes and 0 rights. I did not locate to a rural community to be told by a planning commission how to live. I have an RV. I like it on my property. I realize it's not the Meriwether district, but we know how things creep. It starts in one area and it moves. It never ends. The LMO is poorly developed. 376 pages to dig through to figure out where a resident stands is asinine. People, tighten it up. I know you can do it. Thank you for your time.
Two Curry Court. Tammy it's going to be Benerhley. Are you here, ma'am? Okay.
Tammy Bennett Haley, and I'm in District 2. I don't have a lot to say other than the fact that we love where we live. I was raised here. My family has been here for a long time, and my family's buried here. And I would just ask you to take the time to talk to the people here and let them, listen to them. Don't let them just speak. Listen to what they have to say. And let the best interest of the county, of the people that live here that it affects the most, their children, their grandchildren, the seniors here, this is all they know is country living. This is what we love. Now, we all go to the town to shop, but that's our privilege to be able to live in the country, to be able to leave there to go to the town to shop if we need to. We love Edgefield. Edgefield has some wonderful little shops, but I don't want to see it to develop and grow into a metropolitan city. They're known for their history. Edgefield County is known for its history. I would just tell you, please take the time to listen to these people's concerns and hear them and allow them the opportunity to show you that they do truly care about what happens. The animosity and the anger that builds up is because they feel like what's happened here was done in a manner that was not professional. It was underhanded, so they feel like they've been slighted. And it's nothing more than an opportunity for them just to voice their opinion and for you really to can listen to what they're trying to tell you, is that the development is nice in certain areas, but for the majority of us, we don't want to see it. We want to live in the country and be able to have our trucks in the yard, our dog houses in the yard. Some people have chickens and cows just because they purely love them. Others have them because that's what they were raised on, the agriculture of the county. Thank you.
Do it. Okay, come up there. Come up front, man. Come on.
I'm going to make this short because I'm not much of a talker, but we just moved here. Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you. Oh, wait.
State your name also.
My name is, sorry. My name is Sarah Dimsdale, and like I said, I'm going to make this short because I don't talk much. But we just moved here 2 years ago for the sole reason of getting out of places like LMOs, HOAs. We both moved from homes that were rural that had become taken over. And we want to get away from that. We want to be able to raise our son in the country away from that mess. We can have a community that can flourish and have prosperity for everyone that lives here and still be a rural community. We don't have to do this kind of thing. And I just want to say, I hope that you'll strongly consider your constituents that live in this county and have elected y'all to do your job, because this is not what we want. Thank you.
Lisa Whitaker, Windy Road.
Hi, Lisa Whitaker. I think it's District 4 in Little Old Trenton, and I don't say it right, and I don't know why. But we moved here 9 years ago. To this day, I don't think I know a soul here. But guess what? It's okay. I wave, I speak. I live in the country. I moved from a housing development outside of Washington, Swamp, D.C. with an HOA with neighbors up my butt and ungodly unhappiness. We had 2 days to pick a home when we moved here. 2 days. We rolled down 19. We rolled across the railroad track. And right there, Punk Holmes' house. I don't know Punk Holmes, but that's all I heard. But it didn't matter. It's become our home. It's become our land. I raised my chickens. I raised my ducks. I raised my goats until they drove me crazy. In my opinion, you said you were up for suggestions. The $290,000 you paid the suits, you could have paid to revitalize Uptown. You could have paid the buildings to be refurbished. Bring people in. How can people have a business downtown in a building with no roof? Open air market, I assume. This is the wrong way to go. I've already lived through this. I have sat in so many of these meetings for Concord, North Carolina. That's where I'm from. Because Charlotte was creeping in. We have to keep up with that. It's not worth it. We want to be in the country. We want to be not bothered by the things that are out there that y'all may not have any idea what's out there. You haven't been there. It's not a happy life. I've been there.
It's a Margot on Peter Cardinal Drive. I know it. Let's see. What did they got? That called Sarah Dimdale from Bart White Lane. You already been up? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out. The Mackey, Journal, Deborah Mackey. Did they come in? Are they in there? Kim Richards, did I call them up? They've been up already? I haven't. On Watts Edge Drive. Okay, go on. So that's your son? Okay.
I'm Ken Richardson. I'm in District 2. And I think you can agree, everybody here agrees that we're rural, we want to stay rural. But if you guys have a quorum here, won't somebody make a motion to throw this thing in the trash and stop it right now? Let's see how you're going to vote on it right now. So somebody want to make a motion? You stop it, no more hearings, we'd be done with it. Pay out the contract and we'd be done with the LMO. You want to make a motion? Let's have a motion. You want to make a motion?
So that's not in order for us.
You've got a quorum and you're conducting business.
We're not going to address that.
You can make any one of you can make a motion. But make a motion. Let's see how you're going to vote.
That's not in order.
That's not in order. Yeah. Yep. We want to vote. Who wants to vote?
Order. We are.
Anyhow, that's all I've got.
You can make the motion before it's second.
Is that true? I'll make a motion and we vote. If someone for us and second it? I'll second it.
The meeting is out of order.
So we don't have a say.
That's not it. This is a public, and he said this is a public hearing. And we're not going to. I'm not addressing that out of order. And we have any more out there? Have anything to say? Come on, sir.
First of all, what's his function? What's his function? The guy with the red tie.
He's a consultant, sir. He's a consultant.
Well, he need to wear boots, because he's getting deep in that corner over there. Let me tell you something. My family land...
Don't punch your fingers. Stay in order, please.
I point my freaking finger if I want to, but I ain't going to. Our family had land here for 125 years. We've been in the country. We've been alone. And who the hell do y'all think y'all are that you can come down here and tell me what I can and can't do on my property? Are you the top dog? Are you the captain or whatever?
Sir, this is a commission, and we are only doing our job. If you can't stay in order, I'm going to have a deputy to it.
Who is the boss? You got to have a boss.
Sir, will you take your seat, please?
No.
Will the deputy come remove this gentleman from the...
Let me tell y'all. I know two things about politicians. One of them, they greedy as hell. Another one, they lie to feed their greed. Now I'm finna get removed off here because I'm a citizen. I can't talk. I got to go. Now the big boys here that told me off. So if they put me in jail, somebody bail me out. Go ahead. Take it in effect that these people don't want to vote on nothing. Wait a minute, let me say this and I'll quit.
You're done.
I'm going to say it anyway. These people don't want to vote anything, so they all stand and make something from it. And we stand by and let them make something from it, it's our fault. Come on.
Any more from the floor? I'm getting ready to close this hearing out here. One more. Come on up, ma'am.
Hi, I am Leslie Joyner from District 5. I actually just heard about this morning, and I got on there and I printed this up. This is insane. Y'all have rules for your rules. I don't even understand how you can have rules for your rules. You're telling us we can have one flagpole in our yard, or for us, our business, which is right over there, Joyner Loop. I'm not allowed to put tire decorations in 30 feet from the center of the road, but yet it looks like hell everywhere. There's trash everywhere. So my tire decorations are a nuisance, is what I got a letter saying, but yet all the trash that is spread everywhere isn't. You know, I'm not allowed to put stuff in front of my shop, but because it's yours and you pretty much own it. But you expect me to clean it, me to maintain it, because y'all are doing nothing. I mean, the pictures are crazy. I took pictures today of all the trash. Yeah, we can put one sign up. We have to, let's see all the rules that you have. Limited decorations to 2 times a year. So I can decorate what? For Christmas and Halloween, and that's it? I mean, that's insane. I'm reading through this, and I'm like, I can have one flagpole. I can put one sign up. I can not park a vehicle of ours that has Joiner Lube on it. I'm not allowed to park it in front of my shop. I have to park it behind my shop so that you can't see it. I mean, that makes no sense. So this just needs to go away because it's asinine.
Thank you. Get them all hands. Oh, come on, sir.
My name is Stephen Bryant. I live at 129 Butler Avenue. I'm a professional engineer. I've got degrees in agricultural engineering. I currently develop for a living. I make my living developing subdivisions. And I don't do them in Edgefield because the people in Edgefield love the country life. I have bought property out here. I have a cattle ranch. I'm going to move my family out here. I do not want to see Edgefield do what North Augusta has done. I love North Augusta, but I don't anymore. It's lost its charm. They had historic homes that lined the streets. They tore them down to build 1960s and 70s structures that don't fit. They've lost their character. I love downtown. I am waiting for one of those historic homes to go up for sale. And I want my kids to grow up where I know more people in Edgefield than I do in North Augusta because people are friendly. You all live here. You understand that. Bringing in an outside consultant from Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, they don't understand the values. They don't understand the reasons why people are here. And I think it's imperative that you bring in and ask professionals like myself, architects and local planners that know the area and understand. Once this cat is let out of the bag, you're not going to get it back in. And you're going to regret it. I design thousands of acres at a time, hundreds of lots at a time. And they're bought up. But it's not anybody from Edgefield coming there. I only hear people moving out of there going to Edgefield because they want their space, their privacy, and the quiet. So I think it's very important to get local design professionals and planners and architects involved. What's the purpose of this? I did not hear what is the purpose. Where do we want to go? What do we want to be? If you lose that character, you're going to lose it forever. Thank you.
Any more hands? Anyone else? I recognize right over.
My name is Alan Berry. I don't keep up with the Hunger Games. I don't know what district I'm in. I live at Cedar Creek Road in Edgefield. Somebody a minute ago, y'all have to forgive me, I'm not much of a public speaker, but somebody a minute ago made a comment about how much we spent on the consultant over here. How much was that? Can y'all answer that for me? Over $180,000. A little while ago, sir, you made a comment about how we need this LMO to help protect the people that move out here in case they want to live next to a pig farmer or a cow farmer. You understand these are farmers, right? That's what they're going to do when they move out here. They're going to live next to these people. You paid $180,000 to have this schmuck come out here and tell the people in the city how they're going to live next to a farmer. Well, who's going to tell people, the farmers, who's going to protect them from people like you? Who's going to tell these people where they can live? We just want a place we can be left alone. You know that by now. We want a place we can be left alone. We don't want to be bothered by no one. I don't want some governing agency coming to tell me I can have bees or chickens or whatever. You know, it's my land. I paid for it. I drive my butt to the city every day so that I can pay for the land way out here in the county. And I don't mind doing that. I'll do it if I have to. But it's getting to the point where we don't have anywhere else to go. We can't keep running. We can't keep going deeper into the green. I'm already in the green. I'm already in the green now, but you change it, I'm going to be in the yellow. And I'm not going to live like that. Not doing it.
Oh, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Karen Thomas. I'm from District 2, and my husband and I have lived out here almost 40 years. We built just one of the other houses. It was in our subdivision. We bought this land from John Morgan, and we've lived here that long. We recently had a flood on our creek behind our house. Chavis Creek did flood, and we lost our bridge. We had a beautiful walking bridge. It was destroyed. But, you know, you live and you go on. But I want to say just one or two statements that's on my heart. The agenda you have is trickled down from the UN 2030 agenda. It's trickling down. That's why you got this consultant coming in here and telling us his progressive agenda. It's not our agenda, but you want to trickle it down, and the UN wants to have a 10-year plan to come and change the whole country and all the rural areas. This is their plan. You go read it, Agenda 2030. And it's trickling down, and you want to come in here and do it fast because they got a 10-year plan. Well, you can stop the plan.
Gentleman, let him come on. You come next. Come on, sir.
Hey, I'm Howard Hensley, District 2. It took me 62 years to get out of here, or get here. I was in Columbia County. And you can always follow the dollar if you want to end up like Columbia County. I'm a retired captain with a DNR in Georgia, 28 years in law enforcement. I probably struck 2 or 3 people I had to because I had empathy. I listened to them. I wouldn't want to be in y'all's chairs right now for nothing. I've been there. So I'm just going to ask you, these some great people here. Your law enforcement, your sheriffs, EMS, and I'm an outsider, but I'm here now. And I really want y'all to have that empathy. I can see it in your face. I wouldn't be sitting up there for nothing. I'm out of politics. But I really want y'all to try to listen to what these people are saying and realize that there's other ways to get our tax base up. And you got my message, right? So stoic looking up there. I understand. I can't see anything with the mask on. But you can feel these feelings out here. So if you'll take that empathy up there, are y'all county commissioners? You're appointed?
We're appointed.
Okay, all right. And
we don't get paid.
Don't get paid nothing. So sort of like in law enforcement, right, guys? So I really want you to, if I can do anything for this community after just coming into it, I'm just speaking. Please, listen to these guys. They're really reaching out for you. All right? Thanks, brother.
Thank you, sir. All right, sir.
y'all doing? Name is John Bloom. I live on Highway 19, and I am the lady who bought Miss Punk's house neighbor. I have 233 acres on Highway 19, and according to this zoning plan, you're going to make 70% of it either commercial or industrial. I'm here with some of our beekeepers as well, and according to your plan, on my 233 acres, I can't have bees. I can't have goats. I can't have chickens. So I know that it's in the working process, and I know y'all are going to address some of these issues, but I've lived here for 50 years, almost 50 years, April. But I don't want my property to be industrial. I don't want it to be commercial. I want it to be rural. There's not a single business other than a small garage between Greenhouse Road and the Aiken County line. Why does all of that have to be commercial or industrial? I know there's a train track that runs through it, but it's been agricultural all my life, and I don't see why y'all are going to put that restriction on us. So I appreciate you giving me the time to speak. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
You know, you guys got a hard job. Why don't the county put this on a ballot and let the public tell them what they want? That's too much a decision for you guys to make. Even the commissioners shouldn't make that kind of decision. We should make that decision. So don't make a decision, put it on a ballot, and let us go vote on what we want in this county. We're the county. We are the county. Not people that come from Aiken and want to turn Edgefield into Aiken. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Come on, ma'am.
I swore I was going to keep my mouth shut tonight, but it's not possible. I live on Murrah Forest, which is right around the corner, and I came from Aiken on a small lot. I was raised on a 1,000-acre farm, and I moved. This was the closest thing I could get and afford and live in the country and enjoy it. My recommendation, I'm a professional facilitator, is that you get folks from the county, from each zone together, let them provide input. If you think something like this is a must, you could have gotten what you got from him for free from the folks in the county. And when you would get, what you're doing is targeting people. You're shoving things down their throat. Let them be a part of what you're developing, and it will be real easy to get buy-in. And I would volunteer to facilitate those sessions for you, for free.
Thank you, ma'am. Any more? Okay.
I'm Maria Floyd. I live off of Windy Ridge on Country Way. I'm the owner of a sheep farm. I'm a fiber artist. I grow for fiber. My neighbors are Lisa Whitaker, who was talking about her goats, and the McGee's with his land and the bees. I live in that area. Right now, we are not zoned. We are rural agriculture. I have almost 27 acres of land, and you're trying to make this rural large lot. And in reading through some of the things, I mean, it's a little confusing, but my farm is also up for sale, and this affects whoever buys it. And my realtor has called and talked to Mr. Singletary. I'm concerned about this 6-month. We're told we can be grandfathered in and all of this, that the next people can be grandfathered in. But I'm concerned about there's also this little clause about if you don't have animals on that property for 6 months, then you lose that, and then you have to ask permission or get an exemption. Look, 27 acres, and somebody is going to have to ask permission to have chickens on it? This is ridiculous. You know, I own, for any of y'all that know, we bought Fisher Strom's property, and you know, it's a large piece of property. But I look down the road. There's another small farm down the road. I go around the corner down Windy Ridge. There's probably 4 or 5 farms on that road. It's not even paved, for goodness sakes, and you want to make it residential large lot. I mean, I feel like the rug's been pulled out from under me, and I'm moving for a few different reasons, but I'm moving to the land of live free or die. That's where I'm going, to that state. This is ridiculous. We live in rural South because we want to be there. And y'all are destroying this. And people are right, we can't get this back.
Do I see any more hands?
Good evening. My name's Paige Oots Owen. I live in District 1 at 240 Oots Road. Let me tell you, I didn't even know this was going on until a few months ago. And how I came about it was because they're wanting to put an 800-acre solar farm right beside my residence. They want to clear 1,200 acres and put 800 acres of solar farm, 300 feet from my house. Now, a county councilman just spoke last week and said this LMO was supposed to prevent industrial-sized complexes coming right beside a residence. Okay, what is a solar farm? It's not agricultural. My land it will be in the dark green where rural agricultural is. You're not growing anything. I won't benefit from it. If anything, I will pay more money for my electricity. Not only that, I probably will end up contaminating my water supply. Will my kids get cancer or anything from this? I will hear a constant buzz from a solar farm all day. Now, how will this LMO protect me and my land? It won't. This LMO says that a solar farm will be a utility. To me, 800 acres of solar panels is industrial. How much kilowattage will it pull? What is the risk of a fire? Soil contamination. Right now, there's full-grown pine trees on the land. It's not worn-out land. It's not unusable land. If anything, it's agricultural. Okay, if we have worn-out land, put solar panels there. Because after you put 800 acres next to my house, that land can never be used again. Those solar panels will ruin that. They come in and grade the land to nothing. What about flooding? Turkey Creek will flood. Your roads will flood. Old Chapel Ferry, it'll flood. There's a Carolina hill splitter, an endangered species in Turkey Creek. How is that protected? They said they'll get 200 to 600 feet away from the creek. It is a downhill slope from there. Contamination will flood. Just please keep that in mind when you're considering this. This LMO will not protect me or my family.
Anyone else? See it. Okay. Come up.
Hey, everybody. Might be coming to see you, Jim. Anyway, now I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Rodney Ashcraft. I was on county council for 8 years. We had some experience in looking at the comprehensive plan. When we were looking at it, we didn't think that it would go to this level. We didn't think it would go this far, this quick. I'm brand new up here. I might have 30 days in my term. I don't know, Tiffany, do I? So, yeah, so I don't do math good. What's 376 divided by 30? I haven't read it. So, anyway, I've been trying to look at people's. Are you timing me? Because I got 2 minutes. Okay. So, anyway, yeah, I'm going to have to vote against just based on. Just, yeah, well, just based on my experience, how much I know about this whole thing, I think it's way too fast. All due respect, I'm sure there's a few members up here that probably agree with me, so I would ask everybody to please respect, the members up here. It's unpaid. This is harder than council, by the way. Anyway, or at least this month it is. So, yeah, I think there's probably other people that agree with me that are on the commission. I'm hoping, but we might be a minority vote. So just because I'm down here, don't stop. Okay? Anyway, and all due respect to my fellow commissioners, man, I love you guys. You guys have been working hard, but look, we got it on our lap, so we're going to have to look at it seriously, consider it. And I think we'll make a good decision. So that's all I have to say. And hope I'm not fired, but whatever.
Last call, and that all mine. No more hands. Okay. We appreciate your comments, and they really wasn't said in vain. We, as I said before, we're gonna go through all of these and look at them and consider, and we're gonna go through the NMO and make choice and make decisions and so forth. And we appreciate all your input and your courtesy and bearing with us on this. If you have any more, send them up to Kevin, and we will review those as well. Now, we're just not wasting time or just talking, but we plan to, do what we can do and what we need to do and things that we have to meet the quorum that we have.
I'd just like to encourage everybody. We do appreciate all of your comments. We do read them all. We have them all right here. I've been reading them for several weeks. Just please keep in mind that this is the start of this with the Planning Commission. So give us constructive comments. If you don't want it, that's fine. But this doesn't represent the entire Edgefield County. We want the whole county's input. So give constructive criticism, and we'll listen to it. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, the public hearing will be closed out. We're down to Planning Commission discussion. Any discussion from the commission? We're down to discussion from the commission. If someone has any comments. Any comments?
My name's Todd Brown, and I'm the commissioner, obviously, for District 5. Most probably know I grew up here. Everyone knows that I'm sorry. I'll start over. My name's Todd Brown. I'm the commissioner for District 5. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm a part of a development here called Tavern Hill. It will be a beautiful neighborhood. And I will tell you this, and this is I want to be honest. First of all, I do not disagree with the speed of what this is going on. I am in agreement with you all that this is at a speed that is not good for input. From a District 5 standpoint, you can have cell phones and emails. I would love, as this lady spoke, was to sit down and talk, because that's what, honestly, between us and everything else going on, that's what hasn't really happened, is people coming and talking. Now, I understand, what I can appreciate is the fact that the emotions are high, which means it means a lot to you. And it does me too. Don't forget that I live here too. I grew up here. I know back ways to everywhere through here. I played basketball with Big Stevens Creek Baptist Church against Sweetwater right here on this court. My father built this building we're sitting in. We have deep roots here. This is not about us versus you kind of. This is us together coming up with what really is good for Edgefield County. Now, you asked me, why do I personally think this is good? And I want to tell you this, because I want you to look at these maps, okay? And this is why we want to be very specific about where all this stuff is happening. One, we do have to deal with the rule of law. You know, we have police, we have ambulances, we have to pay taxes. There are things of law. But what it doesn't mean is that it has to be run over us. We're here because we want to do the right thing for the entire community. Y'all may not believe that, but I can promise you in my deep heart, I do. You know, Rodney, I understand from his heart. It's like, it's to a speed, and I've made that known to the guy who appointed me here, and I've made it known to the staff that I'm concerned about the speed at which we're going here. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to take extra long, but there is a concerted effort of trying to get this, which represents Edgefield County. So, just quickly, why I think it's good is because if you look at the map of what we have currently, it's all white here, okay? I'm concerned that by not placing zoning, and I know that's like a curse word, okay? But by not having something that, and believe me, I personally believe that it is a protection and not some sort of restriction. Because if you read this and understand what it does to the unzoned parts of the county, it doesn't tell you whether or not you can raise chickens or not. That's not what this is telling you. Look, and let's put it like this. If it does, we're going to work through it. You know, let's talk about it. But we're not going to just, we're just not going to throw spars back and forth. We need to be constructive about it, okay? But my concern is that what can happen is that we open ourselves up as a county to any and everything that can come on this property called Edgefield County if we don't do something that gives some level of organization to what's there. This is not meant to restrict what you do on your property. And like I've told you, and what I'm repeating, is that if it does, we got to figure out a way, because we're here. I can promise you, I know I've only been on here 2 months, okay? But what I'm telling you is that we want to work through it from District 5. I'm here to understand and listen and to understand about it. So.
What's driving the speed of getting that put through so quickly? What's the driver for the speed?
Some of it has been because it's to meet a certain deadline for budget. But to me, again, this is too important. You know, I want to sit down and understand this thing too. I've spent 2 weeks, literally, out of what I do, I probably spend about 4 or 5 hours a day reading this and trying to understand what it really is doing. So I just want to say that I'm in Rodney's boat of this, is that the speed I want to look at, because I do feel that it's too fast. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joel Presley. Just want to echo what Todd has said for the most part. If this plan were implemented, something like you see on the map here, what it would do to me financially is really to continue what I'm doing right now, which is focusing my efforts elsewhere, just like somebody else mentioned earlier. my efforts in Edgefield County, I love small farms. I love cattle farms. And I think what Mr. Ford was talking about earlier were like feedlots, not cattle farms, I think. But I completely agree with Todd and the others up here that my hope and the people that I have helped buy land in Edgefield County, many of them are running farms, running small family businesses. Those are the things that I care about. My land right now that I live on would be affected by this. And there's questions of whether I could run cattle on my farm. And I've been discussing that, trying to get clarification on that. I've been here about 90 days. So I was brought into this process and have done my best to catch up. But I just really don't understand how placing 90% of the county into rural agriculture, conservation, small uses puts me in a position to develop land. It really doesn't. I have been a member and a supporter of 3 of the major conservation groups in the Southeast region for 25 years. I have helped put hundreds and hundreds of acres under permanent conservation so they could not be developed. When I do get involved in development, which is a part of my business, not all of my business, we many times put conservation measures into the development. You know, the Walmart development down here at Exit 5, obviously that was not an ideal place for conservation, but we have 115 acres there that was set aside permanently in a place that some of you might know as Uncle Francis Pond. I just want to assure you that I'm open. I have spent the past 2 weeks reaching out to people that I know in Edgefield County, asking for input, asking to please read it, to please tell me your honest thoughts. I'm a big-time proponent of liberty and property rights. The friends that know me that have moved into Edgefield County at my recommendation are the same way. Anything we can do to simplify and create property rights and facilitate you all to do what you do on your land, we want. I want. While at the same time trying to protect you from things that you don't want, like solar farms, you know, those type things coming right into the middle of where you live that affect you. It can be hard to reconcile those two things. It can be hard to give you complete freedom to do anything you want to do and then take your neighbor's freedom away to not lease his land for a solar farm. We're trying to look at how that can be done. How can we do that? If we leave it like it is, we have no means that I'm aware of. Now, I'm open to be educated. If there is a way, I want to hear it, honestly. But we're looking for a way to do both. And by being here and spending time doing this, I'm not focused on my business. I have many things I could be focused on and need to be focused on. I truly want to help. I truly am willing to set aside things that might make money in order to do what the public says they want, which I think is largely in the comp plan. What we want to do is try to implement the comp plan if that is, in fact, what the public wants, which I think it is. It sets aside 85 to 90% of the county into agriculture and conservation uses. And again, these are my impressions. This is what I think. I'm open to learn. So there's a lot more to say, but
we've heard the comment from the commission and so forth, and we're looking forward. You're going to have a small group meeting next week, and ask you to participate in those, and we're going to follow up and do some research and do some reorganizing and so forth, and we're going to do what? Yep, okay.
I'm sorry, I forgot one thing that I wanted to make clear. My understanding is that we can't vote. That's not what this planning commission can do. We can't do it. The vote is with county council. So what we can do, what legally we can do, is recommend something to county council. That's what we can do. We're working with the same timeline that you are. So please have patience and understanding, and understand we're digging through the same things that you are, seeing a lot of the same things you are. We can't vote. That cannot happen here. That's county council. So please understand that.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Commissioner Tracy Hamilton from District 3. I haven't seen any of the residents from my district, but I haven't been on here long, so I didn't have very much to input. But I am a resident of Edgefield County. I live in the small town of Johnston. I too have had problems. Solar, I didn't agree with, didn't want them for myself nor my parents. Found out a little things about them that I didn't care for. There are other things that, we want to put in our yard that we were told that we couldn't at the time. So I understand where you are. I really do. I put on my mask so you can see my face. I really feel where you are. Every meeting that I come to, I don't have very much to say, and I guess they kind of wonder, why isn't she saying anything? I let the men folk kind of handle the roughness, although I can handle myself. But at the same time, just because I don't say anything doesn't mean that I disagree with you. I feel every last one of you. The young lady, when she came up here crying, I felt her pain. I really do. And I understand because I've had the same issues. But just like they said, we're not making decisions. If we could throw it away, well, I probably would throw it away. But nevertheless, we can't. So we have to come together and try to find a way to make this work. And it can work if we work together. If we're divided, then you're going to have everything, like you said, you can have. I've read one of the ladies say you have hoochie bars and everything else at your property. I don't have thousands and hundreds of acres of land, but I do have land. And I too want to know what's next to me. I do have grandchildren that I want over, and I want to have some control over what I put on my land. Like you're taxpayers, I am too. But if I can sit and listen to everybody, it don't take arguing, it don't take fussing, it don't take belittling. That accomplishes nothing. We don't have, this is something that we take our time out to do also. I have a lot of things that I could be doing too. I have children, I have grandchildren. But I still come here because we care. We're the only two females up here. Y'all think it's good for, we feeling what y'all feel. We may be against something, but they for it. But I'm still going to hold my ground now when it comes to what I know is best, or what I feel is best for Edgefield County, because I live there. And I live what you all live. Might not live in $1 million home, but it's my home. And I take pride in it. Yes, ma'am. So grant us that chance to do our job. We were appointed. We don't get a paycheck. We're appointed to do this. So I have to reschedule. I work at Doctor's Hospital. That's who pays my bills. So when I come here, I don't want to hear people come on now, y'all. We have to be civilized with this. All the name, and then we're in a church. Now, I'm from the country. Some things you just don't do in the church. At least not in mine, no way. And it bothers me to see it happening. We're human beings. We have to work together. And that's what I want to see for Edgefield County. I feel some type of way. In Johnston, we don't get nothing. You want to come to Johnston? You want to really live in the country? Come to Johnston. See, there's nothing there. And when I asked the question, what's going to take place in Johnston in the next 10 years, you know what said? Nothing. Because they don't feel there's nothing there. You think I don't feel some type of way? I do. But I have to sit back and I have to wait and see what's going on. See the whole picture, what's taking place. There's nothing wrong with you coming up and speaking. But then when you're badgering and badgering, even badgering us, that's wrong. Because there are a lot of us up here that are for you. But when you come up and do that and you say commission, that's part of me. And that's not fair. That is not fair. So give us a chance. I promise you. If it ain't right, I'm not going to agree to it. I'm not going to agree to it. Now, I might be outruled, and I'm not scared of how I vote, because my vote is my vote. And can't nobody sway me to vote. So that's what I want. I'm for you all. I really am. Don't make no difference about the color, sex. It doesn't make a difference. I'm for what's right. And it's got to be right. Tight, but right.
We appreciate all the comments, and at this time I think we have all our business taken up, and we're just going to continue to do what our charge is. And Carl, I know I've been around. I'm the oldest one on the committee up here the longest, and I've been through all this, but we got to have some protection to protect the landowners. In order to do that, we got to have some regulations. Without regulation, we sunk. But we're going to do what's best for the community and for what Edgefield County. We're going to consider all of this and come to our meetings and sit in our discussions. And that's the problem being that people didn't come to meetings, but we come, and you can help us to solve this problem. And we appreciate you coming. And at this, I'm going to ask a motion to adjourn. Motion second adjourn. All in favor, right hand. Meeting adjourned.